My name is Elena Carter, and the night I realized my husband was planning to erase me from existence started with a phone call from a dead man's house. At least, that's what everyone in town called it. The Bell property. Nobody had lived there for years after the owner's daughter disappeared. Kids said the place was cursed. Realtors avoided talking about it. Even when Ethan and I bought our dream lake house nearby, neighbors lowered their voices whenever the Bell name came up. I didn't care. Back then, I thought ghosts were the scariest thing a person could face. I was wrong. Because the real monsters were already sleeping in my bed. It happened 6 weeks after we moved into the house. Rain hammered the windshield as I pulled into the driveway after work. The lake behind our property looked black under the storm clouds. Warm yellow lights glowed through the windows, and for a moment, everything looked perfect. Inside was my husband Ethan, my younger sister Sophia, and Ethan's mother Diane, the 3 people I trusted most in the world. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost declined it. Mrs. Carter, an older man asked. His voice sounded weak, raspy, nervous. Yes? My name is Arthur Bell. I frowned immediately. The previous owner of your house. A cold feeling crept into my stomach. Is something wrong? Silence. Then a shaky breath. I forgot to disconnect something before the sale. I glanced toward the glowing windows. What kind of something? Another pause. There's a hidden camera in the master bedroom. My fingers tightened around the steering wheel. I only realized yesterday when an old cloud account synced to my laptop. I opened the feed by accident. I swallowed hard. I didn't mean to invade your privacy, he whispered. But after what I saw, I think you're in danger. Danger. Not cheating. Not betrayal. Danger. My heartbeat slowed into something heavy and strange. What did you see? You shouldn't hear this over the phone. The rain pounded louder. Please, he said quietly. Come alone. Arthur Bell lived 20 minutes away in a crumbling house behind an abandoned gas station. The porch sagged under my feet as he opened the door. He looked exhausted, pale, haunted, like someone who hadn't slept properly in years. I'm sorry, he said immediately. I truly am. He led me inside to a cluttered office filled with old photographs and stacks of newspapers. Dust floated through dim yellow light. Arthur sat at a desk and opened a laptop. His hands trembled while typing. I almost deleted the footage, he admitted. But then I remembered my daughter. Something in his voice made me pause. What happened to your daughter? His jaw tightened. She trusted the wrong people. Before I could ask more, he clicked play. The bedroom appeared on screen. My bedroom. The timestamp showed Tuesday night. I'd worked late that evening. The door opened. Ethan walked in laughing. Then another woman followed him. Blonde hair, cream sweater, my perfume, my face. I physically recoiled. What the hell? The woman sat on my bed while Ethan kissed her neck. I still can't believe she hasn't figured it out, she laughed. My stomach dropped. That voice. Sophia, my little sister. Ethan smirked. Elena trusts me too much. The room spun. Sophia opened a folder and spread documents across the bed. Fake passports, bank forms, legal paperwork, my name printed everywhere. What happens after the transfer clears? Sophia asked. Ethan leaned back casually. By the time she realizes what happened, every asset will belong to us. My chest tightened painfully. Then Sophia said something that shattered me completely. She always wanted a sister who looked like her. Arthur paused the video. I stared at the frozen image on screen. My husband, my sister, sitting in my bedroom planning my destruction. And suddenly, every strange moment over the past month slammed into my head at once. Sophia borrowing my clothes constantly. Ethan insisting we combine accounts. missing legal documents, my passport disappearing for 2 days, Sophia practicing my signature as a joke. I wasn't paranoid. I was being replaced, piece by piece, identity, money, life. Arthur handed me a USB drive. I copied everything. I took it slowly. Why help me? His eyes darkened. Because 20 years ago, he whispered, someone did this to my daughter. A chill ran down my spine. What do you mean? Arthur looked toward the rain outside. She found out too late. I barely remember driving home. By the time I walked through the front door, I felt numb. Sophia stood in the kitchen drinking wine. There she is, she smiled brightly. Ethan walked over and kissed my forehead. You okay, babe? I looked into his eyes, the same eyes I once trusted more than my own. And suddenly I saw nothing there. No warmth, no love, just calculation. I forced myself to smile. Long day. Sophia laughed softly. Need a vacation. If only she knew. That night, I lay beside Ethan, pretending to sleep, while my mind tore itself apart. At 2:13 a.m., he quietly got out of bed. I kept my breathing steady. The bedroom door clicked shut. Then I followed him, barefoot, silent. Downstairs, light spilled from the kitchen. Sophia sat at the counter waiting. Ethan wrapped his arms around her immediately. They kissed. I nearly made a sound. But then I heard Ethan whisper, "She's getting suspicious." Sophia shrugged. Too late now. Diane entered moments later carrying papers. We just need one more signature. Ethan nodded. After that, Elena disappears from the picture. Disappear. Not divorce. Not separation. Disappear. Cold terror flooded my body. And in that moment, I realized they weren't just stealing from me. They were planning something worse. Something permanent. Amen. The next morning, I hired a lawyer, Mara Vasquez, the kind of attorney rich people hired when they wanted enemies destroyed quietly. She listened without interrupting while I showed her everything. Videos, audio recordings, financial transfers, fake IDs. When I finished, Mara sat silently for a long moment. Then she asked one question. Do you believe your life is in danger? I thought about Ethan saying I would disappear. About Sophia practicing my signature. About the life insurance paperwork hidden in their folder. Yes, I whispered. Mara nodded once. Then from this moment forward, do exactly what I say. For the next 11 days, I became an actress. I smiled, cooked dinner, laughed at Ethan's jokes, went shopping with Sophia. Meanwhile, Mara built a case so devastating it would bury all of them. Every account was secretly frozen, every asset protected, every forged document flagged. Then Mara uncovered the real horror. A $7 million life insurance policy, filed 2 weeks earlier. On me. Primary beneficiary? Sophia Carter. My sister. Using my married last name. I felt physically sick reading it. Mara closed the files slowly. They're escalating. I stared at the paper. Meaning? She looked me dead in the eye. They may not wait much longer. 3 nights later, Ethan suggested a romantic trip to the lake. Just the two of us. Every instinct screamed no. But Mara had already contacted federal investigators. We needed proof of intent. So I went. The lake was silent beneath the moonlight. Black water stretched endlessly around us. Ethan poured champagne while smiling softly. You've seemed happier lately, he said. I could say the same about you. He laughed quietly, then reached into his coat and pulled out my passport. Except it wasn't mine anymore. Sophia's picture stared back at me beneath my name. My pulse exploded. Ethan tilted his head. She really does look more like you every day. Fear crawled up my spine. You're sick, he said calmly. Just prepared. The boat drifted farther from shore. Too far. Ethan stepped closer. "You know what the funny thing is?" he whispered. "You are always the easier sister to manipulate." My heart slammed against my ribs. He smiled. "Sophia understands ambition. You only understood love." Then his hand shoved hard against my shoulder. I stumbled backward toward the freezing water. But before I hit the edge, floodlights exploded across the lake. "Federal agents, hands up!" Ethan spun around in shock. Police boats surrounded us instantly. Red and blue lights ripped across the darkness. Ethan lunged toward me again, but agents tackled him onto the deck. The scream he made when they cuffed him sounded almost animal. Not angry, terrified, because for the first time, he had lost control. Sophia's arrest happened an hour later. She tried pretending to be me, actually tried it, until Mara walked into the room carrying my real passport. The look on Sophia's face shattered something inside me forever. Not guilt, not shame. Hatred. Pure hatred that her performance was over. Diane folded almost immediately once investigators threatened conspiracy charges. Turns out she'd helped forge signatures for months. The perfect family collapsed overnight, and the media loved every second of it. By morning, headlines were everywhere. Identity fraud plot targets Chicago businesswoman. Husband and sister accused in multi-million-dollar scheme. But the worst part? Arthur Bell was right. This had happened before. Years earlier, Ethan had dated another wealthy woman who vanished after signing over several assets. Her case was never solved, until investigators reopened it. Suddenly, Ethan wasn't just a fraud suspect anymore. He was potentially something far darker. Months later, I stood in court, watching Ethan and Sophia sit side by side in chains. Neither would look at me. The prosecutor described their operation in horrifying detail. Identity theft, forgery, fraud, conspiracy. The courtroom sat frozen in silence. Then Sophia finally looked up. Tears streaked her face. "How did you find out?" she whispered. I thought about the hidden camera, the storm, Arthur Bell's trembling voice. One forgotten cloud account that saved my life. Then I answered softly, "You made one mistake." Ethan frowned. I smiled coldly. "You thought I'd never stop trusting you." Arthur disappeared a week after the trial ended. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. But before leaving, he mailed me a single envelope. Inside was a photograph of his daughter. She looked almost exactly like me. On the back, Arthur had written 6 words. "I couldn't save her. I saved you." Sometimes I still think about that hidden camera. About how close I came to disappearing. About how love can blind you so completely that you don't see the knife until it's already against your throat. But the thing I remember most is Ethan's face when the police lights hit the lake. That tiny moment when he realized the woman he thought was weak had outplayed him completely. And honestly, that memory helps me sleep just fine.